Today's topic is
forgotten medical dramas.
Oh
Here
my
we're
God.
talking about Chicago Hope. Did Mandy Patinkin leave in the series?
we love Quincy.
Quincy was not forgotten. That's not even funny.
What about hospital?
What about emergency?
You didn't even do the proper intro, by the way.
I know.
Welcome to Bonehead.
Now you stole my line.
That's better. That's right up Joe Lewis.
Man, my name's Joe. I got a beard.
Welcome to Bonehead.
I do Quaaludes.
I keep a minnow cheese stuck on my chin.
Start the credits.
I think we broke Haley. We're
Why
gonna
are
need
you- why-
another
You're trembling
Haley.
the camera.
Hey,
you're
Michael
ruining
J.
the
Fox
shot.
in the camera.
We're gonna need another
Hey,
Haley.
Stop holding on to
Hey,
it. What?
too soon. You're Audrey Hepburn.
Yo, my knife
Catherine!
shining
It's
on
Catherine Hepburn, you're not Audrey!
my... Holy
sorry.
shit, that is true.
Sorry.
I totally forgot.
Fine, you Janet Reno'd the camera. Is that better?
No.
I love Jean Reno.
Oh my God, the professional.
Leon. the
Leon.
professional.
We all know his best movie was Godzilla.
We all know that you deserve to be punched
Go,
in the
go,
face.
Godzilla.
Nature points out again and again
The folly of man.
Do we start
Which is
over?
watching this show.
No, I say we just keep on
No, let's
going.
roll.
So you can fix this in post.
She's
Are you
leaving
going
all
to shake
this
the
in.
camera again?
This would be where the camera should go back and forth and say, no, I'm not fixing any
No.
of
Yeah.
this. So,
Maybe.
so now that we're her biggest nemesis, what we're talking about today
Is Batman villains. So I don't know a lot about comic books.
or women,
Or life,
Live.
time.
Basically the meaning of it all.
oxygen. Always have to come up and smack him upside the head.
Breathe! Breathe!
I'm going to go all Dennis Hopper Blue Velvet on these people. Anyway, we're talking about Batman villains.
We're not talking about Batman. We're
I said
talking
Bat-
about his villains.
I said Batman
And
villains.
not only,
I know.
well, let's say we're not only villains, we are actually talking about some, if you just watch the movies, you know Joker, you know Two-Face, you know Dasher.
Oh, there's my other face!
You know Dasher, you know Dancer, you know Donder and Blitz.
Donder?
Donder.
Donder?
Donder. He's one
Don't
of the
get your
lesser
Donder
known.
up, James.
He's one of the lesser known Batman. No, so you know the ones that end up in movies a lot, but we're going to talk about some of the other ones.
Like
Yeah.
what? The Joker? I never seen the Joker.
I think.
How about the Penguin?
We're going to talk about at least one very popular,
Mr.
a
Freeze?
few obscure, at least one terrible one.
The
Because
Riddler?
I'm going to talk about the terrible one. Screw you. And
If it ain't Frank
underappreciated.
Gorshin, it ain't shit.
I mean, that is a pretty good Riddler for his
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
But I
For
wanted
its
to,
time, it's timeless.
he doesn't own it. Oh, I screwed up my
But no-
words.
But no, I think with Batman villains, the one thing is
I'm just
everybody
gonna shut up
loves
for the next
Bat,
55
but
minutes.
everybody loves Batman. But I really think everybody loves Batman because of the villains.
Oh,
Well,
yeah, the villains are much more interesting, and we've talked about
Because
this before.
if you didn't have the villains, Batman would be boring as hell.
So the thing is that I'm not. The other two are the big comic book geeks. I'm
Is that a
much
fat
more.
joke?
Well, I mean, tons of fun, but I am a huge film geek, and I of course love Batman. There's several Batman movies I love, and I always say to them that melodrama is only as good as your villain, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
A melodrama is only as good as your villain. You got a great villain, you got a great melodrama. Batman, probably the only thing that comes close is Spider-Man for villains.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree?
James is going
Not
to
Superman.
Well, James is going to
No,
bring this
I
up,
was
but
gonna
before James goes to his list, I'm going to argue before it because I don't know what James has a list
He's going
of,
to check
of
it.
popular rogues galleries, but I say, in terms of heroes, that the only two heroes that compete with Batman in terms of villains is Spider-Man and the Flash.
What?
Okay,
Even
well,
above Superman?
yeah, I was gonna say-
Superman has some lame villains in my opinion.
Oh.
Lex Luthor,
That's the only good one though.
Brainiac.
I think Brainiac's lame, and then you got Metallo, you got Bizarro,
But
you got the
You
Parasite.
didn't say it right. It's Bizarro.
No, it's not. It's just bizarre.
It's just Bizarro.
Bizarro.
No.
But no, so James,
So, giving credit where it's due, Newsarama, which is a geek news
Let me
site.
do it again.
But don't do it again. Not yet. Wait, save it. Don't lose your voice doing it now. Newsarama, which is a geek news site, did a survey, and they asked people, and they did some research, and they rated the top 10 rogues galleries. And I thought we should do these to kick it off while we're doing Batman.
Do it.
But they did such a great job because they went across not only comic books, we're talking about in media.
Right.
I love number 10 because I didn't see it coming. Number 10, Darkwing Duck.
When there's
that is pretty good.
DW.
Yeah.
That his villains, if you get into that world, the villains that he has, you have Quackenbush, you have Negaduck,
Didn't you date a Quackenbush, or is that your cousin?
Megavolt.
Yeah. So
no, Quackenbush.
No.
No, he dated Megafolks. Ran the battery straight down on him.
Oh, the sparks flew.
Who's number 9?
Number 9, Daredevil.
What is number 9?
Daredevil is number 9.
What? He has like 2.
Kingpin, Bullseye,
Yeah, those are the 2.
Mr. Fear, the Owl, and the other thing that they talk about.
Did you see that, Al?
The other thing that they talk about is that, because, again, it's his character outside when he's Matt Murdock that he ends up actually often facing them in court. So it's that dual layer, and that's how the villains are more interesting. Number 8 is Iron Man.
Okay.
What?
Gypsy Danger.
Mandarin.
Yeah, the Mandarin and Ironmonger.
Crimson Dino. Well, and they argue there that if you're of the time period, that his villains all come from the Cold War. So if you grew up in the 80s, you identify with them.
Yeah.
So Alvin Drago.
Number 7.
Yeah.
James Bond.
Yeah.
Odd Job. Blofeld.
I thought you were going to go somewhere totally different.
How is Bond? But how is
So
James
did
Bond,
Haley. She's laughing.
How is James Bond a superhero?
No. This is just rogues galleries.
Oh,
okay.
I would say James Bond is a superhero. Obviously, he keeps, in a sense of he doesn't have powers, but neither does Batman.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 6, they gave to Superman, and they based it on Lex Luthor is the mental rival. Bizarro Zod. They said Zod was a
Zod
big
Zod is one of the lamest villains I've ever.
What was his name again?
Period.
You should bow before Zod.
No, the one before that.
Bizarro.
Bizarro!
Metallo, they say Parasite, and they also talk about Toyman. That Toyman is just a creepy character.
Okay, yeah, Toyman, yeah. I've always forget about
I like
Toyman.
that show where he went around to the cons, collected toys.
Number 5, I thought you would appreciate, Chad, Dick Tracy.
Oh, yeah.
Dick Tracy, as far as
Dick
you
Tracy
look.
has a lot of cool girls.
Oh, he does. Prude face, flat
Pud
top,
face, Pud pocket,
the brown.
Pud puller,
Oh my God.
Pud whacker.
Why did we do a show with Joe again?
I have no idea.
I haven't done one in a while. This is our first show with no one on it in a long time.
Yeah.
Number 4 was Fantastic
Puller.
Four, and they based that on Doctor Doom,
But
Galactus, and the fact that it's one of the first ones that had interdimensional villains.
I guess, but again, that's like
And what's the problem with Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull?
interdimensional beings
And they say the Skrulls and
That look like
Annihilus.
alien.
and killer ants for some reason.
But otherwise, you nailed the list. Number 3 was The Flash.
Why the Flash?
They argue that it's because it's science out of control.
Well, I don't
The
know
Flash,
any Flash
the
villains,
Flash
so
has
it's
such an amazing array of wonderful villains. You got, and some of them have goofy names, but if you look at the characters, are Captain Cold, Mirror Master, Weather Wizard, Heat Wave, Heat Stroke.
The ones that they named, you actually
the
started
top.
You start naming some of them. Captain
I'm usually
Cold,
the bottom.
Not Toyman, Trickster.
That's actually, you named most of the ones on their list. They say the ones that swayed them were Captain Cold, Gorilla Grodd,
Yeah, Grodd.
Mirror Master, Boomerang, and Trickster.
Yeah, Captain Boomerang.
Is Captain Boomerang's the same one from that shitty movie we watched?
Suicide Squad. Yeah. And they did him completely wrong. That's one of the reasons I hate that movie.
But yeah, so they argue that of all these lists, you can see things of
And
their
with
time.
the Flash, they are all connected. They all work together to destroy the Flash. They're a well knit team of fully dysfunctional psychopaths. It's a really great.
Sounds like an episode of Bonehead.
Yes.
I was gonna say, and the thing about the Flash that works really well, even if you don't read the comics, is if you just watch the Flash show, while not perfect, they do play around with that. You get to see the Legends of Tomorrow where Captain Cold.
Yeah.
And so.
Okay, what's number 2?
2 is Batman.
Batman. And then number one's going to be, I'm assuming, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, and the reason they
Why
argue
did Spider-Man went over Batman?
They say Batman and Spider-Man. Here's their argument. They say it's close to the point of arguing Star Trek versus Star Wars in that they are almost interchangeable. It depends on what mood you're in. What they finally gave Spider-Man the odds are is that, like you were saying earlier, Batman is only as interesting as his villains. What's interesting about Spider-Man is we know the full history of almost all of his villains. We understand why they're angry.
I disagree, and I'll tell you why. And this is just from an outsider looking in who just have read a few books, seen most of the movies, and I enjoyed most of the movies. Batman wins because there's no better comic book villain than the Joker.
Yeah.
What's better than the Joker?
I would say, and
you may
I
have
agree.
a preference.
I agree.
You may have someone you like better. I've enjoyed other villains.
I think the problem with the Joker...
What is more iconic?
No.
How about I phrase it that way?
Okay, I was going to say, because I think the problem with the Joker, and the reason that the Joker changes over time, and that's what I always argue with people. People are like, I like the Heath Ledger Joker better than the Jack Nicholson. I'm like, no. The Jack Nicholson Joker is the Joker of the 80s.
Yes.
And the Heath Ledger is much more like now. And that's the problem with the Joker as an ongoing character, is that, we know, if you read the comics, he knows Batman's Bruce Wayne. He just doesn't care. And he doesn't want to kill Batman. He just wants to drive him crazy.
Yeah.
And it's that, and that's one of the, when I talk about one of the characters I'm going to talk about later, at one point he teams up with the Joker, and the Joker even looks at him and goes, no, you're going too far. Because the Joker doesn't want death. He wants chaos. And he views that, so I think that's one of the challenges of that character. And I think for a lot of Spider-Man fans, the reason a lot of people hate Spider-Man 3 is Venom.
Because they screwed up Venom.
And because Venom is...
Sam Raimi didn't want to do Venom anymore.
No, he didn't. That was all the studio.
And Venom is one of the characters that he is not the equal of the Joker, but he doesn't want to hurt people either. He just wants to kill Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Spider-Man ruined Eddie Brock's life, got him fired from the job that he loved, took away, he lost his wife, he lost everything, and he just wants to kill Spider-Man and sometimes eat him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he'll save other people.
Who doesn't want to do that?
So anyway,
whether it be Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire, they all look tasty and scrumptious.
So if he starts going num 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 Tobey Maguire, we need to
num num num. He's a vegetarian. I wonder what that tastes like.
Have you been eating too much broccoli, Toby?
Did you have pineapple, Toby? 3 people out in the audience are going to get that joke.
So should we get started on Batman?
Anyway, I was about to say, so we'll get into Batman, but I agree.
Yeah, we're 42 minutes in.
It's I think it depends on what you're looking for, but I do think you can go back and forth with the two.
Yeah.
It's not 42, it's 12.
Anyway, you want to go first?
And this episode may run long, so bear in with it. Well, I'm going to start out with probably the most popular one out of all of our list. And Joe already poo-pooed on him, but I'm going to talk about it because he's actually my favorite character. He has been since I was a child. The Riddler.
I love the Riddler. I'm just being an asshole.
Okay.
I don't have anything to add to this other than I really do love... And I enjoyed Jim Carrey's version of it. It's fun when I was a kid.
Well, I'm going to get into everybody who's...
Nothing's better than
I'm going to get into everybody who's played the Riddler here in a minute.
Sorry.
But I agree with Joe in that the Joker is the perfect villain. And
the most iconic.
The most iconic, and the Riddler is just my preference. Ever since Super Friends and and Adam's West Batman, the Riddler has been my favorite villain.
I was going to say,
Batman's.
The thing with the Riddler is, whereas the Joker is chaotic, the Riddler is highly organized.
Yes.
And he just wants to prove who's smartest. Not even who's smartest. He wants to see if Batman can solve it.
Yeah, he has no real powers other than being highly intellectual, and he has a compulsion to leave riddles and clues of his crimes, encouraging Batman to come find him.
In some way, he wants to be stopped.
Yes.
So,
but he wants to be stopped by someone who's his equal.
But, to give you a brief background, the Riddler was created in 1948 by Bill Finger. And if you don't know who Bill Finger is the man who created Batman, not Bob Kane.
Oh, really?
Yes. Bill Finger was basically left in obscurity. And not only did he create most of Batman's rogues, he created Batman. If you want, there's a great documentary out there called Batman and Bill about Bill Finger and basically how he just fell into obscurity. And I believe he died broke and poor. And Bob Kane got all this credit for creating Batman when Bob Kane, the original Batman, was just a guy in red tights with wings and a mask. That was it. Bill Finger took the character and made Batman.
So Bob Kane created the name Batman.
Batman, yeah,
But the one you think of is all Bill Finger.
Yeah,
the imagery is Bill Finger.
And as of about 5 or 6 years ago, the Finger family finally won a lawsuit, and when you see future movies or in comic books, you now see Batman created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger.
Okay, good.
So they gave the finger to Bob Kane.
But he first appeared in Detective Comics 140.
He was waiting for 20 minutes for that.
Yeah.
It just popped into my head because I have brain damage.
Drain damage.
Yeah.
Drain damage.
And there's
I knew he was going to do it. I knew it was coming.
I know, this is fascinating because I didn't know about William Phalange.
Yeah. But no, Bill Finger.
Bill Finger too.
No, seriously.
His son Knuckle, is finally getting some money.
His five-knuckle son.
He appeared in Detective Comics 140 for the first time. And what a lot of people don't, and you know, it's no surprise if you look at the Riddler and his character, he was actually a C-list villain.
Uh-huh.
And he actually disappeared from comics for a full 20 years after his first appearance.
Now, that happened to the Joker too, right?
It happened to the Joker. He did. I don't think he disappeared for as long as the
No,
Riddler
but he
did.
was gone for 15, 16 years before they brought him back.
And the only reason the Riddler became relevant again was Adam West's Batman. That brought him back.
So they pulled him out of obscurity for that?
They brought him out of obscurity for that TV show. Now, who all has portrayed him?
Frank Gorshin. Nobody's better than Frank Gorshin.
You know who else appeared in the Adam West? John Aston.
John Aston.
I forgot how you're absolutely right. But no one remembers John Aston.
Nobody does. It's always...
but it's one of the most common pictures he signs is him as the Riddler. He talked about that in an interview that Gomez, of course, is number one, but he said that non-Gomez, he said it's getting really close to where people are obsessed with him being the Riddler.
Yeah.
Because he did it so few times.
He also, Jim Carrey, obviously, in Batman Forever.
Mm-hmm.
Corey Michael Smith in Gotham, which I think is an excellent portrayal of the Riddler.
Okay.
He's really great in that show. He's probably, in my opinion, he's probably the best one in that show in terms of villains. Especially as he's evolved into the Riddler over the past 3 or 4 seasons.
Oh, you like him better than you do the Penguin?
Yes.
Okay.
Because the Penguin, to me, is one-dimensional in that show, where the Riddler has slowly evolved into this psychotic...
I've only watched so many of them, and I really think my thing is skewed because, what's his face? Robin Lord Taylor was such a nice guy.
Yeah. And he's good in it. It's just, and I love him.
He was just a nice guy.
And you know, it was a
better
toss.
Than Would You Rather?
Yeah. Oh, really? It was a toss between the Riddler and the Penguin for me because those are two of my iconic. But I went with the Riddler. Now, who all has voiced the Riddler? Let's talk about the most important one. Mine and Haley's favorite, John Glover in Batman the Animated Series.
You good?
John Michael Higgins did it in Batman the Brave and the Bold. Dave Franco in Young Justice. Robert Englund. This is my least favorite portrayal of the Riddler in the Batman animated universe.
The Batman.
In the Batman, he was like a psychotic, scary, creepy guy who didn't even look like the Riddler. He had long black hair, weird tights that looked like there was only half on. It was very weird. Then
so meta.
You got Wally Wingert in the Batman versus Two-Face animated, one of the Batman video games, and Conan O'Brien was the voice of the Riddler in Lego Batman.
The Lego Batman movie?
Yes. Now, a few of my favorite stories with the Riddler in it. That's something else I want to talk about is how he's featured in the comic books. And there's going to be a trend between all the characters I have on my list, and I didn't even notice it until after because I picked out my villains first. I'm talking about this one, I'm talking about this one, I'm talking about this one. And as I did my research, I'm like, holy crap, there's a connection. And here's the connection. The first one is Batman Hush. If you haven't read that story arc...
Stop talking, Batman!
It's fantastic. Green Arrow, City Walls. Green Arrow is tied into most of the characters I'm bringing into. I didn't even realize it until after I picked them out. It's really great, and the Riddler actually gets one-ups Green Arrow. It's a great story. Batman, Run Riddler Run. I don't know if you've read that one. It was from the, I believe, early 90s, late 80s, where basically the Riddler's on the run and Batman's trying to catch him. And then this wasn't really a story. It was just one comic book. Another one of my favorite obscure comic book heroes is The Question. I don't know how you feel about The Question.
I mean, I'm neutral. I mean,
But
It leaves a lot unanswered.
But basically, the question actually outsmarts the Riddler. Basically, by every time the Riddler wants to one up the question, he wants the question to suffer. He keeps asking him these questions because he's going to kill somebody, and if he doesn't answer his riddles, he's going to kill the person. What does the question do? He comes back with more questions. He questions him to the point of the Riddler breaks down and has an anxiety attack and can't commit the crime.
Mm.
So if you read the comic, it's a great back and forth between the Riddler and the question.
Okay.
James, what you got?
All right. Mine are more obscure, and it's because I didn't want to. I mean, obviously, we talked about it already, the Joker, all of those. But I like characters that sometimes don't appear too often, but they're just so warped. Because to me, Batman, when he actually has trouble dealing with
Is he going with Egghead?
is much more. No, here's an interesting piece of trivia. Egghead was created for the Adam West series.
Yes.
Didn't actually appear in the comic book until the late 80s.
Hmm?
So Vincent Price actually originated the character of Egghead. No, but I'm going with, and these are more obscure, but I like the darker, and that's what, I like the darker origins, and the fact that Batman, to me, when he almost is dealing with, somebody referred to it as his black file. The cases that are so messed up or almost supernatural, those are the ones that fascinate me. So I looked at some of the darker characters. This one has nothing supernatural about it, but it's just fascinating to me, is Tallyman. Stupid name.
His biggest weapon was a banana.
Tally me banana.
Yeah, see, that's
Did
what
you roll your eyes at that joke?
Man, I want to go home.
No, Tallyman has one of the dark.
Bizarro!
Tallyman has one of the darkest origins of a Batman villain.
Yeah, I didn't. When we initially discussed we were going to do the show, that was the first thing out of your mouth was I'm bringing up Tallyman. So I
Tallyman.
had to Google him.
You didn't know him?
No, I never even heard of this guy.
Tallyman,
And he is
popped up a
creepy
couple
as
times.
heck. Hell,
Tallyman,
why did I say heck?
Tallyman dresses
Elf, I know.
as an old school 1880s tax collector, black robe. None of it makes any sense. But his origin is this: when he was a kid, his father took money from the wrong, or borrowed money from the wrong people, and they came to get their interest every week. Well, eventually his father didn't have it, and they killed his father.
Mm-hmm.
His father's dead. Well, then they kept coming to his mother, and Tallyman, when you first see him in the comics, when it flashes back to him, he literally is wearing rags. He doesn't have anything, and he's begging his mother to please not give the last of their money. And she says everybody has to pay their Tallyman. They come, they take the money. Well, the next week, they have no money. They're starving. And when he comes, the mother says to these, basically the thugs that come to get the money, we don't have it. And so they start beating his mother. Well, he loses his mind, grabs the nearest thing, and they're in the impoverished area. They're basically living on the street. And he finds an old fireplace poker.
Mm-hmm.
And he beats, at 12 years old, he beats the people beating his mother to death. Police come. They send him to juvie.
Those thugs must have been really dumb. Hey, he's hitting me with a poker.
Well, no,
Better than a banana.
Hey, thug number 2. I'll just sit here and watch until he's done.
Well, no, it's technically one guy, I guess. But
Okay.
he took the sharp spot, and the first place he hit him was the side of the ear. So it actually, you see the
Okay.
through the ear. And then he pulls it out and does it repeatedly, and he won't stop. Well, he goes to juvie, and people find out what happened while he's there, that he beat somebody up for attacking his mother. And what do these juvenile delinquents do? They start calling him a mama's boy.
Hold on. Best death by a fire poker. Serial mom.
All through the house, Tales from the Crypt Christmas episode.
Nope. Serial mom.
All through the
I
house.
can't get this liver off it. Go ahead.
Anyway,
It's pretty funny, by the way.
so they call him a mother's boy. They do all this stuff. He finally gets out of juvie. He wants to be rehabilitated. He finally realizes he can get above everything else, and he goes to find his mother, and he had a sister, and that's why he was worried they'd also hurt his sister. What happens? His sister starved to death.
Sounds like Sweeney Todd.
His mother. See, you have me thinking Sweeney Todd. His mother commits suicide.
God, is this going anywhere?
So-
Riddle me this.
His mother is dead. His sister is dead. And when he realizes that nobody's left to pay the Tallyman, he just decides he's going to become the Tallyman. But he doesn't care about money. He's going to take souls. He's going to kill people. And so he starts. Originally, he finds the people that killed him, killed his mother, who are now old and all that, and he just kills them. And he keeps going. And then he finally actually ends up working more or less for the mob himself. But his only requirement is if you call him, he doesn't take money. He'll make sure you get your money, but he's going to kill whoever you send him after. And he identifies himself with Batman because Batman rights wrongs, and all he's doing is balancing the books. And so he becomes obsessed with Batman. He fights Batman, and Batman beats him, which upsets the book. So he has to kill Batman now. And that's his obsession. Later on, he teams up with Two-Face because he sees Two-Face as also being even. So Tallyman is one of the most warped minds because he doesn't care as long as Eve views the world as even.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So when did he
Why don't you say Bizarro 5 more times, Joe?
Because we've got a lot of show left to do. You don't want to give it all to him up there.
Because I've never seen him.
He has been. He popped up in his origin story, and and that's why I liked him was Batman couldn't figure him out because he follows his own code, and
just like Dexter.
Once again, if he believes you owe something, he kills you.
Just like
Dexter. There's no negotiation. There's no, I'll pay my debt.
No. See you.
If he was Boba Fett, Han Solo would have been dead.
Jeez.
And he has no remorse, nothing, because the books are balanced in his mind. So Batman had a hard time figuring out who he was. So I think he was in a 4-issue story arc, and then he came back as a supporting character for Two-Face. And at the end, he catches Two-Face, but Tallyman escapes. And so it says, and I think when he escapes, Batman even says he'll balance it. You know, he won't be gone for long. He'll have to balance everything.
Huh.
But he fought he fought Batman, and since he wants Batman dead, he fought Azrael when Azrael was Batman. And then when Dick Grayson took over as Batman, he fought him. And when he started to realize that because the fighting styles were different, that it wasn't the same person. His logic was, it doesn't matter. I've got to kill the Bat. Whoever the Bat is who deserves to die at the time.
Huh. So my next one's kind of in the same line, sorta. My next one is called Onomatopoeia.
Bang.
On who?
Bang.
So James,
crash. Zoom.
So James, what is onomatopoeia?
It's Chad. That's a language phenomenon where the word is spelled the way that it sounds, and it's actually representing a sound itself, like bang, zoom.
So this is onomatopoeia is a serial killer villain. He was actually created by Kevin Smith, and it is that Kevin Smith, who is, in my opinion, one of the best comic book writers out there. He doesn't write enough comic books. He's actually
really? You think he's?
Yes, by far. Every comic book he's written, I've delved into.
You okay? You getting enough of that reanimator juice over there, Doctor?
He's wrote out of James's list of rogues. He's wrote 3 of them. He's wrote for Daredevil. He's wrote for Batman, and he's wrote for Spider-Man.
And
he's in the Daredevil movie.
And he's in the Daredevil movie, unfortunately.
And Green Arrow, right?
Not the good Daredevil. Huh?
Did he write for Green? Didn't you like?
Yes, Green Arrow. Yes, that's actually the Green Arrow run of Kevin Smith is actually what got me back into comic books as an adult.
Quiver.
Yeah, one. It's called Quiver. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just trying to remember.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. Dick.
Everybody leave me alone. Herbert West.
But he was created by Kevin Smith and Phil Hester. He was created by Kevin Smith and Phil Hester in March 2002 in Green Arrow number 12. So what is he? He's a serial killer, like I mentioned before, who only kills non-powered superheroes. So superheroes that have no special abilities, he kills them. And his first introduction is actually in a Green Arrow comic book, which is called The Sound of Violence. But his introduction is, there's a character, I want to say it's Captain Canuck, but I don't think that's right, who's fighting in Ohio. Funny as hell. He comes home one night, sees his wife and children slaughtered, and there's onomatopoeia in the bathroom, and he just is broke down seeing his family dead, and onomatopoeia shoots him in the head. And onomatopoeia just has a black mask with a constantly looping circle. Mm-hmm. But as he kills him, you hear bang, and he pulls the gun. Or, as the blood drips on the ground, he goes drip, drip. He doesn't talk. Mm-hmm. He just makes the sounds of the noises that he's making. So he's actually only been in 3 comic books.
Ever.
Well, no, technically 4.
He did 4 like this.
So, I know, my thumb's not working. So he first appeared in the Green Arrow Sound of Violence. Now, how is he a Batman villain? Because two of my personal favorite Batman stories, he was the villain. There's Batman Cacophony. Help me with that word.
Cacophony?
Cacophony.
Thank you.
There you go.
In this one, he mortally wounds the Joker.
Ooh.
And he actually gives Batman a choice. Not talking at all, mind you. He's silent the whole time. Leave Joker to die or kill him, and he opts to save the Joker. And he's actually revealed in that comic book story to have a normal life. He has a wife and a daughter at home.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one is Batman the Whining Gyre. Gyre. I don't want to talk too much about this comic book because there's a twist in it that would blow you away if you read it. So I highly recommend you read it. It's one of my favorite Batman stories, period, next to Hush.
Mm-hmm.
But it will ruin something for you if you Google it. So if you want to read a great Kevin Smith Batman story, read Batman the Whining Gyre. But yeah, he's such a weird villain in that he makes no noise. He just is silent. He murders people. There's no explanation as to why he's murdering these non-powered superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time you see him, I believe, is in Final Crisis, when all the superheroes are fighting all the villains. You see him briefly in one of the mini mosaics of all the heroes battling. You see him in a corner fighting this obscure superhero called Odd Man.
I was say, which is the last time you? I was just looking up. This the last time you've seen Tallyman was during the Crisis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's seen him too.
I swear to God, every time I want to go Tally Me Banana.
That's all I want to do too. Because as soon as he said it, I literally thought, is his weapon a banana?
It's daylight come, and we want to go home.
I believe it's me want to go home, isn't it?
We wants to get the hell out of here.
And I said, I will admit, it's a stupid
Screw
name,
the bananas.
but the darkness of that character is what makes him fascinating.
But yeah, so there's not a whole lot of background on Onomatopoeia. He kills people who are superheroes who aren't super.
Like Captain Canuck.
Yes. I'm sure that's not the name. It is something Canada related.
I just didn't know. Didn't we bring you a Captain Canuck?
That's why I don't think it's that. I don't think I got the name right.
But I didn't even know it existed, and I brought it to him from Canada. I was like, "Oh, Chad." He goes, "Yeah, I know. Shut up."
Yeah. Anyway, so James, what's your next one?
Speaking actually of if Batman the Whining Gyre or whatever, and Kevin Smith, my next character, the last appearance of him, I guess, was in that.
Yeah, he's actually the comic book is right there with him on the cover.
Cornelius Stark. Who is, Joe, you might appreciate this, the best way to tell him about somebody that has never read any of the stories with him, take Scarecrow and mix in Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, okay.
So, Stark...
You had me at scare.
He has...
And make him look like Quasimodo.
He has telepathy.
Sexy.
He has telepathy, effectively. He can convince people that he...
Lovely lady hump.
Starkalicious. No, he can. So
Sanctuary.
he convinces people that he takes on the appearance, or he makes people think that he looks friendly and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then he even convinces the doctor at Arkham. He gets sent to Arkham Asylum because he tried to kill all his classmates or whatever. Good times. But he has this compulsion that he believes that the only thing that keeps him alive is eating human hearts, but they have to be seasoned, as he puts it, with norepinephrine. Norepinephrine, which is a chemical that is released when you're scared.
Oh. Like Scarecrow.
Yeah. So he's the one, he was in prison, like I said, at age 16 after he tried to kill all his classmates. He uses his abilities to convince the doctors that he's fine. And then he comes out, and he's the one that I alluded to earlier. He teamed up with Joker, and they were going to go in the Nightfall storyline. And they were going to go after... Joker was like, we'll just go get Commissioner Gordon. You can try to scare him to death. But when Stark says, and then I'll eat his heart, Joker goes, whoa, 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 whoa. No. We don't go that far. And Joker realized he was way worse than he was. And so Joker actually stops him from doing that. But Stark had already effectively administered enough to cause Jim Gordon to have complete and utter anxiety. And Batman had to make the choice between... do I help Jim Gordon, or do I stop the Joker and Stark? Mm-hmm. And he actually said, he basically just drops Jim Gordon on the stoop of his house and tells his wife to take care of him and leaves him. So it's one of the darker moments for Batman, but he's more worried about what would Stark do next with the Joker, arguing with it. So it's one of the darker storylines there.
What would Sturk do?
But Cornelius Sturk he eats human hearts, and he will not eat your heart until he has scared you to where your heart is properly seasoned, and he's just deranged. None of that is true. He just believes it to be true. So he's one of the more deranged. Like I said, he's a Hannibal Lecter. He's not stupid. He's very capable. Plus, he has a gift that lets him convince you that he's your friend until he needs to destroy your mental abilities.
Do you know this one?
Yes, I do. He's
Oh.
actually a pretty dark character. Like, my introduction to him was in the Nightfall, where he's just like stirring up a pot of blood with hearts and is getting seasoning it ready to eat. You know, he's a very dark character, and I'm surprised he hasn't. Well, I can see why he's not used as much as the more popular ones, but
Yeah, he's
one of the more
dark
fascinating
for most movies.
Yes.
But he's just because again, other than the telepathy and the ability to scare people, convince people that to manipulate people's perception of him, that's his only power. What makes him deranged is he's convinced he has to eat human hearts and he will die if he doesn't. So his argument is, I'm just trying to live, and if you stop me, you're trying to kill me, and I will fight you. So he's very deranged and sick, but like I said, he's very Hannibal Lecter-ish in some ways, which makes him fascinating to me.
Okay, so we've talked about some pretty fascinating Batman villains,
Have we?
and yes, we have.
I'm just messing with you.
The one that but I wanted to focus on, because even though Batman has a large quantity of great villains, he also has a large quantity of truly stupid villains and that are just awful, which is why I thought about bringing up this one.
Booster Gold.
No, screw you. He's great. Polka Dot Man. Haley knows Polka Dot Man.
How do you know Polka Dot Man?
Lego Batman movie.
Lego Batman movie.
It's actually I watched the Lego Batman movie. I don't remember
Yeah,
that.
but you were high on the drugs.
The first 5 minutes in that, you can almost see in the entire Batman villains gallery if you look close enough.
Well, see, but yeah, I wouldn't know
Yeah.
who they were.
So
He's on the drugs.
let's start with the history of him. He
He's
first
on the
appeared in
pills.
Detective Comics 300 in February 1962, and he was created by Sheldon Moldoff.
Oh, the Brady Bunch.
Yes. Oh, by the way, I want to go back to the Riddler, because I want to hear Joe chuckle. I just said Riddler was created by Bill Finger. He was not just created by Bill Finger. He was created by Bill Finger, ready? And
Yeah.
Dick Spring.
Richard Jumpy.
Yeah. So anyway, Polka Dot
William
Man.
Phalange and Richard Jumpy.
His introduction to the Batman universe was he went on a crime wave where his themes are spots and dots. He robbed things that were spotted or dotted.
He got all this dick.
What is his powers? You
See,
Joe
it's a
asked.
spotted dick.
Yeah.
So Joe,
Pick
you
that
may.
up.
Phil Spillman's laughing right now.
He doesn't watch our show.
Oh no.
So Joe Lewis, you're going to ask, what are his powers?
Hold on. Chad Jennings,
Yes, Joe Lewis.
are you able to answer a question for me? I have a serious conundrum.
What is it?
Can you tell me all of the powers of Polka Dot Man?
No, just
No,
no.
screw you. Read it yourself. No. So his
It's not Polka Dot, I know, but
Everybody polka dot.
I should have said, could you tell me all the superpowers of Bizarro? And then move on to Darkseid.
So his power is he wears a skin-tight outfit from head to toe covered in polka dots. And each of those dots, once removed from his outfit, transform into a weapon or even an escape vehicle. That's right. He can pull a dot off his outfit and it turns into a helicopter.
I can't even pull a...
You can't even pull on an outfit.
He can also pull...
You haven't been able to pull off an outfit since the 70s.
Not skin tight, no.
But no,
That's a
his-
lot of skin.
You know,
That's a lot
some
of
examples is some of his dots would turn into fireballs. Some of his dots would turn into saw blades.
Did you pick the wrong one?
I know. And some of his dots were teleportation devices.
Where did you
Question.
get them?
Yeah, where did he get them?
He created the outfit. He actually created he created a belt that would make
The belt really
That
tied
would-
the outfit together.
certain items inert and turn them into dots, and he would put them on his outfit, and then he would just activate them through his belt. Now, there's several iterations of the Polka Dot Man.
Man, before you get into that, can I
Yes.
ask one legitimate question
Yeah.
from an outside observer?
Keep in mind, this is a terrible comic book villain.
No, it is, but this is true for a lot of comic book villains. Would they not make so much more money if they went into private industry? Any of these MFers could beat out Elon Musk any day of the week and be billionaires. Look at my polka dot outfit, I'm going to sell it
Now,
and be bigger than Bruce Wayne.
In all fairness.
And have all the monies and all the hoses.
In all fairness, Polka Dot
And all
Man,
the boatses.
Polka Dot
Boatses
Man.
and hoses.
Polka Dot Man was actually just called Polka Dot Man by Batman. He really wanted to be the Dalmatian. Now, that's a false story, but isn't that way better than what actually happened?
I asked you all a legitimate question.
seriously.
At any moment, some of these people, like, they just could have went and did something else.
So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this because there's a great story arc in Batman the Animated Series involving the Riddler in that very topic. The Riddler gets out of jail. He becomes a multi-millionaire of creating kids' toys, of games, of Riddlers, of riddles. And what does he do? He is so psychotic about making crimes and leaving clues for Batman to solve that he goes out and commits crimes while he's advertising for these toys, while he's making tons of cash.
It's an obsession.
And he's obsessed. He can't do it. And then finally, of course, Batman exposes him.
Ooh, Batman, boo-bye.
For what he's doing with one of his own gadgets that he created.
Ooh.
So yeah, I mean that
Hoisted by his own petard.
that is a great episode that it actually covers that very topic of, hey, you have these intellectual people who are doing these weird things, but could be used for great purposes and make tons
I
of money.
always thought the same thing about Darkseid.
He's a ruler of his own planet.
Yeah.
How much bigger can he get?
I
Yeah.
don't know. How tall is he?
I mean,
how big a boy is he?
hold on.
You know, he can go.
I mean, he's no Thanos, but he gets.
Well,
by.
one of his powers is he can go average
I'm not
height.
sure
or
going
he
to
can
do
go-
this.
No, he can go really tall. He could become a giant. It's one of Darkseid's powers. Anyway, so
Darkseid.
yeah, there are times where there are several different variations of the Polka Dot Man. In one, he has no powers
So they
whatsoever.
brought it back more than once.
Oh God, he's been several times. I'm gonna go through them. In one, he has no powers whatsoever. He just is a guy wearing a polka dot tights, carrying a baseball bat.
Saw that
He
on
is
Saturday
so
morning.
Polka Dot Negan.
in this run, he is so useless that what does he do? Harvey Bullock, which if you know anything about Batman's history, Harvey Bullock is a detective in the DC in the Gotham Police Force, and he's just this fat, grumpy man. He beats the crap out of him so bad that he puts him in traction, and Polka Dot Man sues the Gotham PD.
Litigious society.
Da-da! Batman does Law and Order.
He has appeared in The Brave and the Bold numerous times, and he can be seen in Batman the Lego Movie. However, he never says a word in either one of those variations. Now here, this is one of the I can't talk this morning tonight.
This morning.
This is why I picked him, because he's in one of my another one of my favorite DC comic book stories that not a lot of people hear about. It's called Run.
I don't do that.
There was a series of
Something
short stories or short runs that DC put out after their big final crisis.
Which one of their final crises?
Yes,
the
which was
one
one
with
of
the
their
count
many.
down. Count down to down?
And the story involved the Human Torch, not that Human Torch.
Dude, the way Marvel and DC over the years have went back at each other copywriting character names is phenomenal.
The Human Torch is literally a guy in a white tights who has a flamethrower, and he was one of the villains of the Martian Manhunter because the Martian Manhunter's version of kryptonite is fire.
So Joe,
anyway.
Manhunter is Frankenstein.
Joe, I'll say bread, good. Fire, bad.
You know, there's actually a great story where they redo the Justice League, and Batman introduces himself to the Martian Manhunter. He goes, "I have a special rock that I have that can kill the man who flies. All I would need with you is a book of matches." And he leaves. Great story. But anyway, so
Fascinating.
So anyway, the Human Torch in the Final Crisis story arc, he kills the Martian Manhunter. So after the villains lose in Final Crisis, he goes on the run. Because all the superheroes are after him. Because in DC Universe, Martian Manhunter is basically one of the founding fathers of the Justice League. He's one of their stronger people. So what happens? He just goes on this madcap comedic run. He punches people out as he...
Yeah, you could read Benny Hill too. Play Benny Hill.
But anyway, in the story...
He ran through the hall. He ran down the wall.
In the story, he meets up with a man called General Immortus. And what General Immortus enhances villains' powers and gadgets. So he does this to the Human Torch. And he also does that to the Polka Dot Man.
And that does nothing.
Now, this is the last appearance of the Polka Dot Man in any comic books that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
He zaps underneath a pot of a manhole cover, and the manhole cover crushes him. That's the end of the Polka Dot Man.
Or is it? Dun, dun, dun.
So far, yes. I have not. I looked, and he has not been used, and that was over 10 years ago.
That was one of my favorite, by the way, speaking of villains that die stupidly, one of my favorite throwaway gags from Shadowhawk, which has nothing to do with Batman, it was an Image comic, but there's a guy that is a firebug. He's a pyromaniac, basically, and he's in an accident in his last appearance, and he gets set on fire himself, and he walks to the edge of the building, and because he's not dying, and he goes, wait, if this isn't killing me, I bet I can fly, and he jumps off the edge, he falls, and he kills him, because he can't fly. Being on fire does not make you fly. And that's how they wrote out the character.
All right, James, who do you got?
How many more of these I'm going to do?
I've got one more after
All
this.
right.
I'll do one more. I wanted to get on, but if we're going to do a separate one for female villains of Batman, I think...
You want to get on a female villain?
Have you met my wife?
Ah!
She's an attorney. She's got friends in hell. Victor, is it Zaz?
I believe it's called Zaz. Victor Zaz. Or Zaz.
Neil before Zaz.
Yeah.
So Victor Zaz, I don't know why... Two of my villains have math-based themes. Is my fear of calculus coming back to me? I don't know. Victor Zaz was born into wealth. He's another parallel to Bruce Wayne. Born into wealth, has everything. His parents die. Instead of, becoming Batman, he gambles all the money away.
Yeah.
And at the very end, the Penguin, he makes his last bet is actually with the Penguin, and the Penguin cheats him, tricks him, cheats him out of all of his money. He decides he's just going to go kill himself because he realizes there's nothing. He's a hollow man. There's nothing left to him. Mm-hmm. On his way to jump off of one of the bridges of Gotham, he's accosted by a homeless man who asks him for money. He goes, I don't have any money. Homeless man turns out just to be a thug that's going to rob him, was just going to take his money as soon as he pulled out his wallet, pulls out his knife. In that moment, Zaz, in his own thinking, realizes that the man that's going to rob him is just as hollow as he is. And if he's going to kill himself, before he can kill himself, he needs to release this man from his suffering as well. So he fights the guy, takes the knife, and stabs him and kills the guy. Mm-hmm. But then he realizes as he looks around, all of these other people are hollow too, and he needs to release them. So he starts carving on himself and giving himself a tally mark for everybody that he releases.
What is what with him and the tally marker?
I'm telling you, dude, it's my fear of math. Anyway, so after Penguin cheats him, he goes about doing this, and he views himself as he looks into your eyes, and if he sees that you're hollow, which everybody is hollow to him, that he's liberating you, that you're stuck in this hollow world, and it's his God-sent duty to liberate you from life and to free you. So he kills you, and everybody that he frees, he carves one mark. And finally, in one of the fights with Batman, Batman realizes after he catches him that he has over 143 different marks on him that he's carved into his skin. So he takes off his shirt and he's scarred up. He goes into Arkham Asylum. They send a
tramp stamp joke here, but keep going.
They send a psychiatrist around to evaluate him because they want to know, is he like Joker? Is he, because he's got this obsession with liberating people and freeing them. And she comes to the door and he's in the corner and says, tell me about your life. And he basically says, no, I was born into wealth. Everything's fine. I understand that most people think what I'm doing is wrong. That's the way life
Chad's on his
is.
phone. Just keep on going. We're not taping or nothing.
And then
Haley texted me, reminded me that Kevin Smith directed the episodes of The Flash and Green Arrow.
Yep.
Supergirl, thank you.
Did you text me too?
Anyway, finally, what ends up happening is the psychiatrist. He finally
You
says,
never answer your text messages, so don't start with me.
God.
Yes, I do.
Sorry,
They're
James.
important.
the psychiatrist. He finally lures her closer to the door, and he stands up and he goes, "Do you want me to tell you the real secret of why I do this?" And she goes, "Yes." And he says, "Come closer." And she gets right up next to the door, and he walks over and just takes his 2 fingers and grabs her by the throat so she won't die quickly. And his exact words, I actually wrote down because I have no dysfunctional family. I have no dysfunctional family background. I suffered no abuse. I suffered no trauma. I kill for one reason and one reason only, Doctor. I choose to. It is my right to.
Well, Haley just texted me and said hi. There you go.
But one thing, Judge, he's actually appeared. Victor Zsasz has actually
I'm under
appeared.
the shirt. I'm topless.
He's actually appeared in 2 variations of Batman. He's in Gotham.
Yes.
He plays a really cool hitman in Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
He's bald, has no hair anywhere. No
Anywhere?
no eyebrows. I don't know.
Anywhere?
But he's a really smart alecky hitman. He's one of the better parts of Gotham. But he's also
But it's still not as dark as a comic.
He's also in Batman Begins. What a lot of people don't realize. When you get first introduced, when it takes place after Batman's came back and Katie Holmes' character's in the courtroom, the person on trial is Victor Zsasz, and you actually see him later on in the movie when all the prisoners escape, and the little kid's trapped, who is actually Angry Anne Heche from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
What's his name? Joffrey.
Joffrey,
I always call him Angry Anne Heche.
I mean, I knew who you were talking about.
But
you paint a pretty picture.
When
When
Angry Anne Heche is hallucinating off the scarecrow gas and the prisoners come up to him, that's Victor Zsasz. That's the 2 times that he's appeared in Batman in terms of television and the cinematic universe.
But like I said, I find him a fascinating character because, again, and it has nothing to do with, but one of my favorite lines from Nick Cage movie is 8mm, where he finally catches the bad guy in 8mm, and they were doing the fight, and the villain 8mm says much the same thing.
Yeah.
Mommy never touched me. Daddy didn't hit me. I do these things because I like to do it. And I think that's much more darker sometimes than, I do have abusive, or Tallyman, I'm responding to the abuse that I dealt with my entire life. But just to have a villain that goes, no, I cut myself to remind myself of how many people I killed because I enjoy that.
Okay.
That's a much darker story to me.
Okay, so I guess we're going to end on me. And I know as soon as I say
all about you.
Joe's going to rip me apart for saying this one because it's
I'm
such
not
a dumb name.
rip you apart.
So
Is
the
it
villain
any
we're
dumber than the name of the hero we're talking about? I mean, let's think about
Yes,
that
it actually could be dumber. So the villain I'm going to end on is Catman.
Batman beats him with a ball of yarn.
So go ahead, Joe.
Why couldn't he be Scatman and have a cool voice?
I'm the Scat Man.
Or Scatman Carruthers.
Oh yeah, that's way better.
Everybody wants to be a cat. Everybody.
You go the Aristocats.
be
You don't go Jazz from the Transformers.
No.
Or Hong Kong Phooey for God's
Quicker than a
sake.
human eye.
You go Aristocats.
Guess which one I watch the most in my house
Why
right
didn't
now,
you go?
Chad?
Why didn't you go The Shining? See, because he got an axe. Do you want to get sued?
Ask me no questions.
So Catman,
Scatman.
he was created by Bill Finger and
William
Jim
Phalange.
and Jim Mooney.
James son. I've got nothing. M-O-O-N. That spells Mooney.
He first appeared in Detective Comics in 1963, and that was the most important thing that happened that year. Nothing tragic or anything happened in 1963.
No, especially in
Mooney.
November.
Yeah, no.
James
In
Mooney,
Dallas.
I'll be coming in.
I'll be coming
Gone.
in November
No,
when
I'll
I
be-
come.
I'll be gone in November. Sorry. Sorry, Wycliffe.
I'll be coming in November when I come.
So he
I'll be
started.
coming in November.
So he started his career as a Master Chief.
I'm trying to wake myself up.
Do you have to?
Yeah. I was up at 4 a.m. Keep going.
No, so
Could you just nod off and let us finish?
he started his career as a master thief.
You're not the first person to say that. Just let me nod off.
But I'm the
you
first.
go ahead and finish.
But I'm the first.
Try not to lay on me too long. I don't want to wake up dead from suffocation.
So many dead bodies in the
Just
backyard.
get it done. Are you in yet?
If we don't make it, delete browser history.
Just go ahead and get it done.
Are you banging me with angel hair pasta?
Oh, Joel Lip Noodle Lewis.
I asked for this al dente.
And there's the name of the episode. I asked for it al dente.
Batman villains.
Catman, go ahead.
So yeah, again he started his career as a master thief. He was once a rich big game hunter who turned to a life of crime when his expensive habit broke him.
So he's crazy.
Was it eating those Cadbury eggs or something?
Yeah.
They're so expensive. I wanted to say...
Fabergé.
yeah, Fabergé.
Yeah.
But all I could think of was Cadbury eggs.
Why would you only be able to think about Cadbury eggs?
So, what are his powers, people? He is great in hand-to-hand combat. He's great with blades, and he's highly intelligent.
Hand-to-hand
Combat.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, no, hand-to-hand comment. He goes into a restaurant and he fills out those comment cards faster than anybody.
He's the Bill Maher of the DC universe. Actually, that's Jack Ryder. But anyway.
You sure
Jack Reacher.
You sure it's not CC Ryder?
Nope. Jack.
CC Ryder.
Joe's gonna laugh at everything I say about this one, but
No,
anyway.
I haven't laughed at anything you said.
I asked for it al dente.
Oh God. So there's two reasons.
Wake me up when you're dying.
There's two reasons why I wanted to talk to him.
I don't want to
about
burn myself with a cigarette again.
him. One, he's one of the few villains who's actually fought Batman to a standstill, where they actually fought and they got to a point to where neither one could win, and they just gave up.
He's like, suck his bane.
Yeah. Also, too, here's the big one. In my opinion, in terms of current comic book history, he's probably one of the best anti-hero comic book characters there are in modern history, and I'll get into that. But we got to talk about some of the back history of him. Mostly, he's been a throwaway villain for obvious reasons. His name's Catman.
I was saying now, but just because I remember a storyline from the late '80s, early '90s where he teamed up with Catwoman, but Catwoman betrayed him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because she supported Batman more than Catman.
But yeah, he's been easy to defeat. And again, here's another Green Arrow connection because I put his name down automatically, and I was like, holy crap, there's a Green Arrow connection. In 2003, he appeared in a Brad Meltzer version, which, by the way, Brad Meltzer is another great comic book writer who also writes novels.
You go out there, kids, and you watch all that Brad Meltzer.
Yeah.
And his orchestra.
Did you say Brad?
Brad Meltzer and his orchestra.
But
And his ogre orchestra.
His ogre.
But in this run, he's an overweight slob in hiding. Green Arrow easily beats him down, and he's actually captured and implied that he was eaten alive by one of the many gorilla villains in comic book history, and there is a ton of gorilla villains.
Why?
That's
everybody wants a gorilla. I mean, if there was a time where there wasn't a haunted house picture without a gorilla in it.
Yeah, I mean, you could talk about, like, there's Gorilla Grodd, as James mentioned earlier. There's the one, I'm not going to mention this one until I say his name. There's Ultra Humanite. There's, oh man, there's more. There's so many.
Dolomite, but Vegemite.
Titano, that's the Superman gorilla, I believe.
Yeah, well, but I mean, and if you go back to it, I mean, there's Planet of the Apes, and there's, in Star Trek, you had the Mugato, the white ape type creature. It's
but Mr. Mugato.
But the gorilla villain that supposedly ate Catman alive.
Yeah.
Mansoor Mala.
That means
Mr. Mala?
Yeah, that means Mr. Mala.
That means Mr. Mala.
You know what El Nino means in English? It means the Nino.
Mr. Mala?
But he later appeared in a great comic book that I highly recommend if you're reading comic books.
Mr. Mansoor. That'd be funnier.
I don't know.
Because Mr. would have sued.
Mansoor Mala is actually it's one of the, I believe he's a Teen Titan villain of all.
Yeah.
But he paired up with the Brain, which, by the way, is literally a brain in a robot shell. That's it.
Who's also in Teen Titans.
Titans. Well, they're a duo, and basically, Monster Mala is in love with the brain, and
which we all know is fiction because as a brain, I'm unloved.
Well, I all know it's fiction because you're really only attracted by your looks.
So anyway,
Joe is so shallow, sometimes it almost seems like depth.
So anyway,
really.
Catman later appeared in The Secret Six, which is a great comic book that I highly recommend you go read, written by one of the best, not only is she one of the best comic book writers, it's a female.
Yes.
One in the room?
And in my opinion, I love Kevin Smith, but I actually think Gail Simone should be.
She is a machine. I'll be honest. All joking aside,
and every single comic book
machine.
she writes is fast. You get
Gail Simone. So they need it. And also, in sincerity, we are doing this in March during women's. What's it called again?
Just say, read Gail Simone.
Read Gail Simone. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
I was trying to play it up, but no matter what I do, I come off as a D-bag.
That's
and you're surprised by this?
No.
Okay. But his appearance changed after the incident with Mansoor Mala. He's become attached to a pride of lions. He lives out in the African jungle, and he's now in shape. He's one of the few people to turn down Lex Luthor. But
he's so handsome.
Because at the beginning of the story arc that ties into the greater scheme of DC Comics, Lex Luthor is bringing all the villains together to form this secret society of supervillains. And Catman is...
Doom?
No, it's the Secret Society of Supervillains. It's not the Legion of Doom. This is different.
So, but it's called the Secret Society of Supervillains?
Yes.
Why do they call it... That's my only...
The SSSV?
That's my actual only problem sometimes. And don't get me wrong, Marvel does a lot of doofy stuff.
Doofy
stuff.
Doofy.
But sometimes my problem with DC is, I think Marvel sometimes, like, Marvel villains think they're heroes more, and the fact that DC villains are like, no, we're villains.
Yeah, no, we're straight. We don't give a crap.
Yeah.
We're evil.
And that's how I'm like, no, wouldn't it be like Secret Society for superhumans?
Yes.
Why do we have to just, like, wouldn't there be one guy, I don't know, Quiltman or something? No, Quiltman's actually not a villain. But wouldn't there be somebody going, hold on a second, guys.
I'm a little chill in here. Where's my shawl? Quiltman!
So, anyway... Because he turns down...
Crazy Quilt. I'm sorry, I said Quiltman.
Because he turns down Lex Luthor, the villains kill his pride of lions and leaves him alone.
Yeah.
So
Poor kitties.
He goes and joins up with the Secret Six, which is this group of lesser-known super villains who...
They were going to make a movie, right? A year or two ago.
That's the Sinister Six.
That's the Sinister Six. That's Spider-Man.
Shh. The adults are talking.
Good
Joe.
Lord. Anyway... So
I love Chewbacca when he's on the Enterprise.
And this is he's an anti-hero. The Gail Simone run of the Secret Six, basically these are really bad people who are doing bad things. They're basically villains for hire. We'll go and kill whoever you want. Just pay us, we'll do it.
So kind of not the same as Suicide Squad because they're trying to work off
They're trying
time.
to, yeah, no, these guys literally are just getting paid to do bad things. But they have a slight, like,
So it's like our job.
I'm on that corner again.
But no, so Catman, and Catman's the leader of the group. He, one of the best story arcs in the Secret Six. And I'm not doing it justice by describing it, I don't think. But essentially, the Secret Six get a hold of an item that turns out it is a literal get out of hell free card.
Yes.
That was brought into, modern humanization by, not the devil, but Necros.
Yeah, which is... Yeah.
And what it does is, at the time of your death, you give them that card, you get brought back to life with a clean slate.
Mm.
So you have these 6 villains who have done terrible, terrible things, who now have this item to wash themselves free, and all hell proceeds to break loose between them. One of his friends in the show is Deadshot, which is Will Smith in Suicide Squad, not done correctly. Anyway, and Deadshot runs him over with a car. So Catman and there's actually another story arc where Catman is fighting Batman. And they're beating each other to a pulp, and the whole time Catman's doing this is he's doing this to let the Suicide Squad go and rob something.
Suicide Squad or the Sinister?
The Secret Six. The Secret Six. Sorry, he's got me saying it now.
Well, they wrote says.
Yeah. So that's my Catman.
that bombshell.
No, I was about to say, but going back to this and kind of wrapping this up, Batman villains are, like I said, the back and forth between Spider-Man and Batman, as that comparison of Rogue Gallery said, the difference is, do you want to know more about them, or do you want them to be more mysterious? And Batman works better. I mean, Batman started in Detective Comics. The more obscure, the more random, the more dark. He can play around with that more. And Spider-Man is more of science gone wrong or something, the unknown. But, talking about some of these, we did talk about some, Polka Dot Man, and there are some other ones.
Oh, God, yeah.
There's been 4,000 iterations of Clayface, and then they made the Clay family, and there's Lady Clayface. And
I mean, we didn't even get into Kite. We didn't even get to Kite Man. Or,
I thought you said something else.
No, I would not say that.
What now?
Pud Puller?
I'd have to check. But by the way, if that was made by Mr. Finger, we're done.
Mr. Finger had the Pud Puller in the library.
But the other thing that's really fascinating about Batman villains is if you actually dissect the history of them, the villains that have caught the attention of the pop culture side of things. I mean, the Joker is based on the silent film The Laughing Man.
Yep.
But they're odd characters, and people with Batman tend to want more odd characters because none of the ones we talk about would be normal. But if you think about it, the Penguin's not a normal character.
No.
None of the characters are normal, but the ones that seem to be more popular are not the ones that you couldn't have a Punisher type villain fight Batman. Nobody would care. Batman needs weird. He needs dark, weird.
So, are we going to do another episode where we do Batman's female villain?
Well, yes, because we know you need your naps.
But I think the Batman...
I really have been up since 4 a.m. I'm so sorry. No. It's not that you all aren't fascinating. You're clearly not. But that's not the reason why I'm falling asleep. Here is actually why
we probably do need to do a Batman female villain one. There's 3 reasons. A, we've had requests for one on Harley Quinn. B, Batman was one of the first major characters to have female villains.
Yeah.
That was not... You didn't see Superman having too many female villains until the 80s. Really. No. Batman had female villains
Then Margot
early.
Kidder just went crazy on
And then C...
Too obscure.
No.
Like I said, it's been requested. There's a lot of Batman female villains. And also, Batman is one of the few characters that has had romantic story arcs with villains. I mean, you have the on again, off again with Catwoman.
Well, he's marrying Catwoman currently.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. That's the big story arc in the DC universe.
Does Catman know?
Is that like...
Catman is so over Catwoman.
Does he have a brother? Is Catman going to be his brother-in-law now? Is it going to be that rival?
He's all over Hamster Girl now.
That's Squirrel Girl, and that's Marvel.
Hamster Girl?
Yeah.
Said she was a hamster girl.
She gets easily defeated if you put her in a ball, but you got to lure her in there with a freeze.
For a brief moment, I really wanted to see if Joe would actually take the bite and think Hamster Girl was a real person.
No, but Squirrel Girl is.
I know Squirrel Girl is, and it's stupid.
Squirrel Girl took down...
I know, she took down Juggernaut and the Incredible Hulk.
And Thanos and Dr. Doom.
Yeah,
with
Dr. Doom.
With squirrels.
Eat that.
Not all just normal squirrels.
That's nuttier than squirrel shit.
With squirrels.
And on that note...
Haley's getting irritated, so it's time to go.
All right, so thank you so much. This is one of our... I'm sorry, I didn't mean to look so sleepy. I've been up since 4 a.m. I apologize.
Also, he is bored with the topic, and he hates comic books, so send your hate mail to Joe.Lewis.
Comics. I just didn't get into them as much as you all do. You know more about it than I do.
Now you know how
more about quantum physics than I do.
Now you know how I felt during parts 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7 of Stephen King.
And for our next episode will be
was okay.
episode 6 of Stephen King.
Episode 5 was okay.
I finally watched Gerald's Game. We're good. We're going to do a 3-parter on Gerald's Game.
I watched the Asylum version, Geraldo's Game. Connie Chung holds up very well.
Geraldo's Match.
As a hunt for Al Capone's vault.
Geraldo's Match. Anyway.
Shocker, it doesn't end well.
Next episode will be 3-parter.
Next episode will be an episode about things. We'll see you then.
Oh my God.
We're sorry.
Keep tuning in. We've got more guests lined up. Some of them are going to be pretty big, and we're kind of excited about it. Well, just pretend.
And subscribe to YouTube.
Over here at the bottom.
Yes,
right there. And then over there somewhere, there's a subscription button.
Right about here?
Hit the bastard.
It's not here.
Yeah.
No, it should
If we
be.
saw you at Comic-Con, thank you so much. This is the first one we've taped after Comic-Con. This will be a little while before we get to it, but thank you so much for coming out and seeing us and subscribing. We picked up about a few subscribers after Comic-Con, which was nice.
We need more though. If we get to 100, we get our own channel, people, and then we'll stop talking about it.
We won't. We won't ever stop talking about it.
We'll stop talking about it in that I will no longer say, hey, it'll get us a channel. Then we'll start talking about how we need 1,000.
1,000.
But also, don't forget to subscribe on
iTunes and SoundCloud.
And anywhere else you find us, even if we don't know we're there. If you find us on some Russian pornography site, I don't know, subscribe there. That's fine. That's
Well,
cool.
I don't. What is Russian pornography?
I don't know. Svetlana's Yakfield Adventure. I don't know, Joe. I don't watch that stuff, you pervert.
It's a lot of spies like us cosplay.
It's Moose and Squirrel.
Bye, everybody.
She's really hot with those antlers. This has been Bonehead. We're out.
They're pooting on the Ritz.
We're pooting on the antlers.
Oh, we're gonna get bombed. The top 10 Rogues Gallery of Villains. I thought we'd start with that before we go directly into Batman. Because you might have some comments on some of them.
Well, I already know what I'm going to say, and then I'm going to shut up and let you guys go, and then just be an asshole. It's pretty much every other show.
So business as usual.
Because hey,
Business.
business good.